Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Vintage Story, Unearthed for 120. Okay, so let's look up a crucible. You can make multiples if you desire. At this point, I'm just going to make the one. And I was thinking what also might be beneficial is if I get some raw crocks. This is just another way of storing food that can be beneficial, and I should have probably made these a while ago too. And a crucible is pretty basic to make, real simple, straightforward, kind of like that. Especially with how complex some of these recipes can get. And there we go, I now have a bunch of raw crocks as well. So, now I just need to fire these as I did before. I will need to clear away any of the burnable stuff like the grass that has regrown in this area. My bad. But I think just a bit more grass and sticks and I should be good to go. And here we go. I am trying to trap a fox in my garden. I think that's a success. I had made this little ramp here so I could get up and over, and now it's in my garden, and it's going to be my little protector in case any little fuzzy bunnies get in by accident. It should easily take care of them without much problem. Now to just remove this, and I should be good to go. Anytime that I enter, it'll probably just run in the opposite direction. It's unlikely it's going to injure me unless I injure it first. So having a, quote, pet, quote, fox can be beneficial depending upon your farm. So I'm headed back out to the far side again, up in the northwest where the foxes and the bears roam. I don't know why I keep thinking this is a good idea, but I do keep finding good stuff up there that I am finding very useful. I have an idea for what I'm going to build my base out of. You probably notice I've been sprawling quite a bit and haven't actually built any kind of shelter. Most people will build a dirt hut. I really just didn't want to do that. I would rather spend my time progressing as much as I can, though I will admit sometimes fighting the guys late at night do kind of take up the time that I think I might have spent building myself a small shelter. Aha. Found some more vegetables that seem to be pretty good, and there's a good bunch of them here too, so I think that this is actually worth marking. Now when I say that, it's probably because I didn't mention it before, and somebody did say in the comments, and it was a really good idea. Mushrooms will actually, if not mushrooms will actually grow in this area. There we go, we'll do this, and we'll make it white. And we've got mushrooms here that once harvested, they will grow back in time. You don't need to use a knife, but it does make it a little bit faster to harvest these. And it's a good source of vegetable that lasts for quite a while, that you don't even have to have planted or anything. Keep in mind, if you find them on the side of a tree and you chop that tree down, well, they won't regrow there, but they should regrow in other areas that you hopefully have preserved. Now this is a really good find. I'm getting a whole bunch of turnips as well, so my seed collection is expanding, and it looks like I also might have a little bit more fish to mix into my stews. Would you look at this? Found this little cave over here. It's got a bunch of brown coal and black coal. That's uncommon and a welcome addition. On top of that, it looks like I found some fire clay. This is very rare, but yeah, it's a thing now where you might be able to find some fire clay underneath some coal deposits. Oh, and that's all there is. So this is just going to be a big old deposit that I'm definitely going to want some copper tools to start harvesting, because I can't really get anything from it like this. But if you do find flint in stone, you can actually pry that loose with your hands. Just most other things you're going to need some kind of pick for. I'm getting really close with the copper nuggets. I think a little bit of panning will probably get me the last few that I need. There we go, just watering some of the crops. You can see that the field is actually filling in with different seed types quite nicely. Not nearly as much flax as I was hoping for, but we're probably going to have to go questing for that at some point. Before I end up getting into panning though, I did mention something about making myself some armor, and for that I'm going to need some firewood. So let's grab a bunch of that. Then I will grab some of this. Now, the wild vines, you can use 3 of those to make rope. Alternately, you can use cattails, but it does require a bit more to make those, and I'm going to need 2 more so that I can get 3 rope. That's going to be for something else in a little bit here. But let's take a look at a lamellar helmet, which is going to require a pelt, some logs, and a bit of resin. This will be my first official repairable armor, because the current armor that I have on isn't really going to be repairable. It's just as it is. Now, that one pelt that I made earlier is going to allow me to actually make that helmet. And if it gets damaged, you can just put it into a crafting grid with some firewood, and it will repair it once again. So that is a really good benefit for it. You can see that it does have some disadvantages. The swampy armor, the improvised body armor, doesn't have any disadvantages, short of it just gives you percentage protection of 55% and a bit of durability. You can even burn it if you want. But this here, it does have drawbacks and benefits. It has a flat damage reduction of half a hit point. So if something's throwing stones at you like drifters, you're going to have some of that protection in place. Then it's got an increased percent protection to 65% instead of 55%. And you won't heal as well if you're healing using healing poultices and stuff. Your hunger rate goes up a little bit. Your ranged weapon accuracy drops down. It takes you longer to throw spears, and your walking speed will get dropped a little bit. But it also means you're less likely to get one shot by things that hit you in the head. So I think that that's kind of a good thing to put that off. If you're wandering around at home, then you probably don't really need to worry too much about wearing armor. But as I don't really have one, I think that it's probably not a bad idea either. Once again, I forgot to take the item out of my left hand, but thankfully I was on a hunger buff, which you can get for making better meals. Specifically ones that focus more on the areas that you're lacking usually end up tending to give a bit more of a buff than anything else in my experience. But it just means your hunger rate won't drop for a bit. And the better meal that you make, the longer that'll last, which is pretty nice to have, especially when you're really low on food. But in this case, I have a few new items that I can store foods in, as well as a crucible that I can now start smelting copper in. So, the fired crock. Once you put one of these things down, you actually can't put the food back into the fired crock. It's pretty much as is. But you can use the fired crock on a pot or a cooking pot to take out what is in there. So if I look in here right now, we have 1 serving of fish poultry stew with boiled chanterelle and blueberries. It sounds real fancy. So if I right click on here, you can see it now has this little icon, and that is now in this, which now lasts a little bit better than before, because these things have a little bit of a preservation bonus to it. Now, on top of that, for the time being, I'm going to... I don't have any space in my inventory. Let me make some space. I'm going to put this here so that I can store it in a little bit better of a location. And you can put it in there. It's still going to do just the same as if it wasn't, but it's another way of storing meals instead of just the ingredients that you have here. You don't have to have a bunch of single bowls. These will store up to 4 servings in one, but they have to be exactly the same items. They have to be in exactly the same order that you had them in the cooking pot as well. If you have them in a reverse order or something, they're not going to stack properly, but you can then start adding multiples. So with these in place, as I empty out my bowls, I can start regaining those, and then perhaps using those for future light sources as well. On top of that, I was going to do 2 things. One was going to be, I was going to make a raft, because every time that I go over there, I need to cross that water, which it would be a lot easier to go in a straight line than it is to kind of wander around the edge like I have been. It's quite a bit. And one thought that I had on how to do that would be with a bunch of logs and some rope, making myself a raft. Now in this case, it's just a simple maple raft. I will need a little bit more rope and logs to make myself an oar so that I can paddle things. I do have some logs already, so let's just get some of these cattails here and I can make myself some more rope. There we have it, an oar, which is going to make things a little bit easier for me to get around on this stuff. I also think I might just put this firewood back now that I'm done with it. But as I have the raft, I might as well show you a little bit about it. If you have something like let's grab this basket, actually. I don't think I really need this basket anymore because I've got some other storage at this point, and I can put those items in there. There we go. I've got my items in there. See, I even have this extra one, so I've got plenty of storage at the moment. But this basket is going to come in handy for this raft so that I can transport some things a little bit simpler. Let me grab this flint while I'm thinking about it. So aiming out here is important because if I aim here and try putting this down, I won't be able to actually go anywhere with this raft. That was me sneak right-clicking to place it down. So if I sneak right-click, I can also pick it back up. So first, I want to put it out in the water. So don't aim here, aim out there. Otherwise, it might still catch on this edge and then you're not going to go anywhere. The other thing is you'll notice that there are some little hitboxes that show up on it. There's 2 on the raft, and that is for up to 2 people can actually be on here. If you're not playing multiplayer, don't worry about it. You can still make use of that second slot by putting a basket in it. So by holding control, I can place a basket there, and now I can access this reed chest and start putting stuff in there as I need to. For example, let's put this extra flint axe that I haven't been using in there just as an example. The other thing is I now have this ore, which that's what this slot is for. Control right click to place it, control right click to pick it back up. Same thing with this basket, but you can't pick the basket up unless you have removed the items from it. Then you can pick it back up. And if you don't want these baskets anymore and you want the cattails instead, you can just cut them up into some cattails and get partial results back, which is just really, really nice that you can do that with some of these things. But for now, I think I'm going to leave that there. And then when I'm ready, I can just jump in here by right-clicking on that this bounding box, grab this, and then I can just start going around the pond as I need to, which is pretty darn cool. Now, in this case, I'm just going to back up a little bit because I don't really need to go anywhere yet. And then I don't need to take this ore with me, so I'm going to leave it there. You can also stand an ore up against 2 blocks tall, but as I don't need to, I'm not going to. I have some panning I need to do. So something that I did kind of skip early on is that if you wanted a melee weapon, you could actually just take a knife and a log and make yourself a 1.5 hit point damaging club. I mean, it's pretty close to the axe, but it has a little bit better of an attack range, I believe. Let's see. No, 2 meters. It's the same for both. Just the axe is more dual purpose than anything. And the attack tier is 1. This one is attack tier 0. So it's for just really basic mob fighting. Nothing really fancy. But if you switch the knife around to be on the side, then you get a wooden pan, which is what we're going to be using for panning. Make sure that you've got some space in your inventory, as I don't need this crucible at the moment. Actually, you know, I'm going to place it down over by my fire pit for now, because that's where it's going to be used most likely. And get yourself some sand. I think I have some in here. Yeah, I've got chalk sand. We'll see what kind of wonders might be in chalk sand. It's been some time since I've actually done this. I think going over here by the farm is probably a good idea. And in fact, I might take some of this off and get myself this stuff watered again. What I usually do is if it's late at night or something and I need to waste some time before going to bed, then I will take the pan and start standing in water and panning. But it's not always the case. And right now I just need these extra nuggets. So that's going to be what I'm going to focus on. Now, you need to stand in 1 block of water. And then you click on some kind of sand or gravel type item. You can even use bony soil, but you're not going to get nuggets from bony soil, or at least not copper. So you'll want to use that for other treasures. You can get like different copper items, which would be great. But from this, I'm just going to grab some items and start sieving. And you can see that I'm panning stuff. I may or may not get items. I'll leave my inventory open, but I'm just right-clicking with the pan. Then I right-click again to hold the button down, and it'll do this. You actually don't need to hold the button down. You can just click twice, and you'll automatically do it. And you'll start sieving this sand for any kind of treasures that might be in it. Now, you do have to be standing in water. If you try this and you're not standing in water, it says must stand in water to pan, so be sure to do so. And if you don't want to accidentally pan the landscape, make sure that you don't aim at it by accident. Okay, I finally am getting some drops. First I got a piece of chalkstone, then I got a native nugget copper. A nugget of native copper ended up coming into my inventory, and you can see I just got another chalkstone. It's going to be random what you get. You'll get some valuables. There's a very low percentage chance of getting some really good stuff. But, I mean, right now, the copper is exactly what I need, and I just need, like, 3 pieces. So this won't take me too long, I don't think. And there we go with my second to last one there. I ended up getting my 3rd piece of copper. I also ended up getting some sphalerite. I got some quartz chunks. I got a little bit of flint, and, of course, some more chalkstone, which totally makes sense. Oh no. I thought I only needed 3 pieces. Oh no, I guess I'll go back and do a little bit more. And there we have it. I now have my last piece. And just by sneak right clicking, I can place the wooden pan and come back to this when I need to again in the future. For now, I think I'm going to take the nuggets that I am looking for. There we go. That's fabulous. And a couple of molds. I have a hammer and a pick. Let me get this grass out of here. So a hammer, mold, and a pick. Basically the idea is we make a pick, then we go mine some more copper, then we use the chunks that we get from that to hammer them into bits like this so that we can then smelt them, because they're currently like in stones and stuff when you bring them back after mining them. So let's grab this, remove this cooking pot for now. We'll put that in there. The cooking pot can just stay out. I am going to use peat to get this up to temp eventually, not at this exact moment, because I just realized that there's something else that I'm going to be needing to do. And you can spread these out if you want. It doesn't really matter. The testing that I did before, it doesn't really matter if they're all piled up in one side or spread across, though that could change for mechanics in the future. What I am in need of is charcoal or brown coal, and I don't have any of either. So I know where I can get some though. On my map, I put markers for brown coal. So I could feasibly find some brown coal on the surface and just go pick up some of those, and that might be enough to actually cook this. So, let's find out. So the smelting temperature for copper is 1084, and if I look up brown coal, its burn temperature is 1100. Now that's at its maximum. Peat can burn up to 900, I believe. Yes, burn temperature of 900, and I think that firewood only gets to 700. So I can start the fire with peat bricks until I get to 900. Then I can continue with the brown coal to make it last as long as possible, in hopes that it will smelt the 2 ingots worth that I am in need of. So what I'm going to do is go take a quick trip on this. Maybe I'll see about grabbing some other stuff while I'm out, and I can grab these brown coal samples and use those for making my first copper tools. Now, once upon a time, raft travel was about the same or even slower than swimming, but that has changed over multiple different versions and is currently faster than swimming, and in fact isn't a bad idea if you've got a temporal storm happening and you need to escape things. You just jump in your raft and go in a large radius so that you don't need to worry about it quite so much, because they rarely can keep up with you over such that kind of speed and on that kind of terrain, because, well, most things in rifts are not so keen in water. So here's the brown coal I was talking about that I found on the ground. I've got 2 pieces. That's great. So I'm going to mark where they were just by digging these 2 spots out, and then I should be able to find that easier in the future. I don't see any others nearby, but at least I still have the marker on my map, and I can use these to potentially smelt the copper things that I need. Now normally I'd just make some charcoal, but I figured I would at least... Oh, copper! I just found another copper bit. I would at least show you alternate methods for how to do this. And here we are back where I was before. Let's grab my ore and turn this around. I could always drop things off in my chest if I need to, but something else that's always a good idea is that when you get out of your raft, leave a marker if it's a place that you don't normally frequent too often. Ooh, we've got mushrooms on that island. I need to mark that. Alright, now let's show you all about making charcoal, because I figure I'm going to need more anyway for future smelting, and it just needs to be something really simple and basic. I don't know how much firewood I have at the moment, but you do need to have it in a sealed area. Sort of like if you were doing stuff with like the food storage here, you do need to have a sealed area. It can't be any bigger than, I think, 11 by 11 by 11, which is pretty darn huge, but I'm going to keep things pretty darn small and simple for this part at the very least. And I think I might do that. I think, yeah. So I grabbed some logs while I was out. I don't know if I have enough durability on my axes. We'll see. Oh, I don't have very much. But you don't have to have full amounts of firewood in order to do this. It can be a smaller amount. Just know that it's best if it's full stacks, because then there's less chance of air issues. So as I'm a little bit short on that, I think I'm going to grab a few more bits here. There we go. And I still have a little bit of firewood left, but not enough. Looks like I'm going to need to make another axe anyway. And as I'm at home at the moment and I have access to bones, I'm going to make myself a bone axe so that it'll be a bit more durable than that last one that I had. There we go. A bit more wood should help out. I will need a little bit of grass as well. So you see here we've got a stack of 31. Let's make that 32. It says so at the very top of the screen here. And then here's a stack of 32. That's ideally what I'd like to see, is full stacks of this stuff. Then I'm going to put down that soil so that it seals it up good, and then we can start doing the same with some of this. I'm going to put this here, and then we have one space left and one open space. The open space is going to be where we're starting a fire. Now I have a piece of dry grass here. We'll put it down, and you can see it as I look at this. It says fire pit in construction, and then stored food perish speed is kind of awkward, but nonetheless I have enough firewood that I can do this, and then I can light it, and it says here that it's a charcoal pit and it's unlit. Just watch those words as I'm lighting this stuff, and you'll start seeing that it will need to have a little something done to it. There we go, lit. You have a few minutes in order to take care of this. It says here 27 in-game minutes before the pile ignites. Make sure it's not exposed to air. So this is currently starting a fire. That will seal it off. You can't use things like sand or chiseled blocks or anything like that. You want to make sure that it's a solid block, and soil counts as such. You should, let me actually put this light source down here so that you don't end up getting confused by that with the little smoke particles, but you'll notice that there's a little bit of smoke coming through here. As long as you only have one block of thickness on top of where this currently is, you'll see the particles there while it's working. When the particles are done, then you know that your charcoal is done. And this is for future me. This isn't for present me, because I'm going to need to get some coal in the future. Meantime, I am going to start this fire with this copper in it, and I'm going to heat things up as much as I can. So you can see here, peat lasts 25 seconds, burn temperature of 900. We're very rapidly approaching that. I want to make sure we get as high as possible before we get there. And you can see that this is also increasing its temperature. You can see there, 865, 7, 8, 9, there we go. And it's going up as well. So once these are both at 900, then I can put in this brown coal, and it should hopefully get to that point. Actually, I want to put in one more piece. Let's make sure that this gets all the way to 900. There we go, before I start doing the brown coal. And these last 77 seconds each, so they last a lot longer, they burn a lot harder, or hotter, and then of course charcoal is going to burn hotter still, but this was just a convenient find, and it saved me a little bit of time while I'm charcoal making in the background. So now that the peat has finished burning, it is currently burning one piece of brown coal, and the temperature is rising again. this arrow won't start increasing until we've met the minimums on here of 1084. So that will take a little bit, and then hopefully by the time this one has started kicking in, this might finish. Maybe. I hope, because those charcoal pits take a little bit of time too. Now I could go to sleep right now, but current rift activity is calm. I don't have any rifts nearby, and I haven't been getting attacked, so I'm going to take advantage of it while I can and see what I can get done at nighttime. Alright, my first instinct is that we will be able to make this and pour it, but I just realized something. I didn't make tongs. Wooden tongs allow you to not burn yourself, and I need a bit of rope for that, so I need to be quick and make some of this before that is ready and cools too much. There we go, a bit of rope, and I've got enough sticks, thank goodness, that I can do this, make myself some tongs, put them in my offhand, and let's set this light down for now. And you can see that it is currently done. It is finished, and it is hot. If I were to take this without the tongs, it would end up kind of burning me, and I would take damage and drop it on the ground repetitively, not being able to actually pour this. But I do have some limited time that I can start pouring this in here. And all you do is sneak right click. Now yes, there is some kind of visual glitch right now. Don't be alarmed, it's fine. It's going to get fixed in the next version, I'm sure. But for now, there we go. I now have these two items, which can now currently get broken by the by the weather. I forgot about that. Yeah, with the new version, there's also the concern that fire, that water splashed on hot molds could shatter the cooked mold due to the temperature rising too quickly. So, and you could try and, you know, live life on the edge there, but personally, it took me long enough just to get this much copper that I don't really want to risk it. So I'm going to give it some cover from any kind of rain that could possibly happen. And I think what I'm going to do while this is cooling is have a snooze and see about checking on it in the morning. And as luck would have it, it is currently cold. If you also are walking on molds that are hot, that could also burn you just like fire. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. In fact, I'm going to put this tool in here. Actually, no, I've got a tool rack here. I could just put that on there. Lovely. In fact, there's that shovel I've been looking for. Constantly keep misplacing that thing. But with this, I now have a copper pickaxe head that I can put on a stick, turn into a copper pick. And then a hammer, which I can use to break the nuggets that I get into bits and knock the rest of the stone and soil away from the copper that's in there, which I don't need to take with me. I can leave that here and use it when I come back. So I think next is going to be heading out to some of those copper spots that I've got on my map. Let's see, orange, I've got copper, copper, copper. Yeah, we've just got a couple death wave or warning areas here to worry about. The wolves have since moved from that spot, so I don't know where they're at the moment. I think they were over here last time, but yeah, something I'm going to be wary of is any of these things. So I will see about trying to gain as much copper as I possibly can for the future processing of stuff, and this will hopefully have finished by the time I get back. And with that, I think we'll pause and end it here for this episode. Tune in next time for the continuation of Vintage Story Unearthed for 120.